Welcome to Cuga on the Rocks. I'm your host, Robert, and today I am here with Adriana and Tony of Cameron's Bakery. Welcome to the show, folks.
Hi, I'm Adriana.
Hello, I'm Tony.
All right. Well, as you know, we are going to be talking about Cameron's Bakery and some of the great events and projects, not events, coming up. But before that, let's talk some whiskey. What have you chosen for us today?
We've chosen Maker's Mark. I chose for my brother, too. I have visited the distillery down in in Kentucky. I did it many years ago. I don't want to date myself, but it was a memorable experience, and I wanted to give it another taste again. It's kind of buttery and nice. And the distillery was really neat. They had a museum, and they actually are in a dry county, so you can't actually purchase it where they make it. But if you take like 10 steps over, like through their facility, they have the county line right there. So you can take 10 steps through their facility and into their actual purchasing area where you can buy it and drink it and purchase it. So that's why I chose it. I thought it had a really interesting background.
It's always fascinating that so many of these bourbons will come from these dry counties that you can't even buy it there, but it's how the county survives. It really is the major reason why these counties do so well. So weird. Definitely.
Agreed. Have you tasted it?
I like it, yeah.
So what do you think about this, Tony?
About the whiskey or about the show?
About the you can talk about both of them, especially if you're like, I love the show and everyone should listen. By all means, keep talking about that.
I do. I love the show, and I think everybody should listen. Past several shows I've listened to have been great. The whiskey's really good and smooth. I did win a bottle of Maker's Mark at a wedding in the past and enjoyed it with my family.
He's not going to finish the rest of that story because it didn't end well for him. We'll just say that.
No,
and it made for a long day of work the next day, I understand. So we're just going to leave it at that, and I'm just going to tease the audience about what actually happened the rest of the time. So I just had a taste of this. It is absolutely fantastic. I'm very familiar with it. I love the flavor of it and such. So with that, it's time to do a little toast and just say cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
And let's enjoy the little bourbon or a little whiskey, and let's get on with the interview. I have some great questions, and people are, I think, going to be really interested in hearing some of the great things you have coming up. So my first question, Cameron's Bakery, it's basically an institution in Auburn. If you live in Auburn for more than probably 6 months, you're going to know about this bakery. So can you tell me a little bit about the history of the bakery, how many generations it's been in your family, and how long it's just been in Auburn itself?
We are actually celebrating our 40th year with our current family-owned business. The previous owner, the Camerons, were not actually entirely sure how long they had it.
I believe Cameron's Incorporated was started in 1955.
1955. So if I'm going to do the math really quick here, we're talking about 74 years, give or take, that Cameron's have been in Auburn. That is impressive. Now, why did your family decide to actually keep the name Cameron's instead of changing it?
My parents purchased it in 1979, and they were a newlywed couple, and they could not afford to change the name at the time, and it was already a well-known name in Auburn, so they chose to keep it, which was a fantastic idea.
Definitely, and it's only grown as far as knowing the name, so it seems like it was a wise choice, and I guess in this instance, it was good that they didn't have money to change it, I think. So so what else can you tell me about the bakery and the history of it?
Both of my parents were well-rounded in the bakery business before they purchased Cameron's. My father ran a donut shop in California, and my mother is the daughter of Bill Tassone of Bill's Bakery in Syracuse on Burnett Ave. So she had grown up in a bakery. They came together and, they got married and came back to New York. She met my father in California. And they came back to New York and wanted to purchase a bakery of what they knew. And it just came to be that Cameron's was up for sale. And my grandfather helped them with a loan. And they were able to, get it from there and start it and build a family with it. So
Very nice. Very nice. Now, just curious, has it always been in the same location?
From what I understand, it once upon a time used to be located elsewhere, but this was the Camerons, not us.
Okay.
Where when we bought it, it was where it is now.
Okay.
Do you know where it was?
I believe it was on North Street somewhere.
I'm sure that there's someone out there, so if any listeners out there know where it was, by all means, let us know on Facebook. That would be awesome. I think it's just another part of a history that we don't want to die.
Yeah, leave it in the comments, because we would like to know, too.
Right. Yeah, it's always
a lot
neat.
of conflicting stories.
That can happen with history, that's for sure. So is there anything else you want to tell about the history of it right now, or?
Just that my brother and I, we have an older sister too, and she was a part of it for a long time, but she chose a different path. She's my brother-in-law's in the Coast Guard, so they've traveled the country, and they're married and all of that. But in the meantime, my brother and I have maintained, being in the business with our parents all of this time since we were babies.
Nice.
And a few years ago, my parents decided that it was time for them to retire. We had been running it for a while anyway. So 2 years ago?
Yeah,
2 years ago, we made it absolutely official. And, 3 this January. We made it completely official that, him and I now are the official owners of Cameron's Bakery.
Well, congratulations on that.
You.
So glad that you guys decided to keep it going and keep it in the family. I think, the one thing that I like about it is, for as long as I can remember, buying something from your bakery, it always tastes the same. It's impressive as to how well you've maintained the consistency.
That would be my brother's doing. He has taken the recipes that my father, who was the head baker back in, when they bought it, and, taken the recipes and always maintained and kept everything, and, all the same suppliers and everything. So.
All right.
Yeah, the recipes have been handed down for at least 3 generations. We just, we try to keep most of the same stuff that we've always had, and we're always adding donuts. I've got, some great employees that are always trying to put different donuts out. We change it up every day.
Mm-hmm.
One day you might see a creme brulee donut. You might see a cannoli donut. We've been doing some that we do every day, like the Boston creams with the fudge frosting on it.
And your apple fritters.
Yeah, the apple fritters. Everybody loves apple fritters. People get very angry when we run out of fritters, and Italian bread also. But the fritters are probably our best seller.
I'm not going to lie. My favorite donut that you guys do are by far the apple fritter. I mean, they're all delicious. Don't get me wrong.
Don't worry, I brought you some. Don't worry. I got some in that box over there.
Yeah.
Why are they in the box and not in my hand?
Because podcasts and chewing food don't go along so well.
I've already done it once, and it worked out okay.
Oh, no.
I mean, I did want to sit there and eat the macarons more than I actually wanted to do the interview, but that's okay.
I love our macarons. They are amazing. Teresa, if you're listening, thank you. They're amazing.
Well, I have to say, I'm really glad that you guys have kept everything so consistent and just kept those same recipes. It's always nice to know that you can walk in there and you're going to enjoy what you're getting because it was like it was the last time you were there. So bravo on that. And you said that it was third generation of recipes. So who developed them actually?
The recipes that we used came from my grandfather, and I believe they were used by his previous family also.
All right, very cool. That's good to know. I always like those type of things here. And I actually was just handed a a magazine, an old
advertisement.
advertisement. It apparently was Cameron's Bakery, 83 North Street in Auburn, from the 60s. So this is an old ad from the 60s, and it was on 83 North Street. So there we go. We have our answer already.
We'll post that on our Facebook so that everybody can see.
It's pretty cool. And actually, this is a little bit off topic, but I owned a house in Weedsport, and I'm up in the attic of the barn that's there. And what did I come across is this box of business cards from the Auburn Diner. Apparently, the guy who originally started the Auburn Diner had the business, and there was a box of old business cards that had to be from like the 50s or 60s. So obviously I brought them down because I didn't really need them. I think I brought them down anyways. That was my intention. So hopefully I did. If not, unfortunately, who knows where they are. But back to Cameron's Bakery, because that's why we're here. So
yeah, they have Auburn Diner has our bread.
The Auburn Diner serves your bread? Oh, yeah. Fantastic. So if you want some great toast in the morning, you know where to go now.
Yes, we have a huge wholesale following. Auburn Diner is one of them. Most of the major restaurants in Auburn carry our products, and as well as some of the grocery chains and the convenience stores, gas stations, yeah.
Very cool. It's always nice to branch out like that. It definitely gives you that brand recognition and just reminds people to stop into the bakery. So my next question is a topic that I'm really excited to hear a little bit more about. I love pizza. You guys started Cameron's at night or late night with Cameron's. How do you name it?
My brother's baby. This is the after dark pizza, we call it. Yeah.
After dark pizza.
Yeah, my brother's idea, which also stems from my grandpa Bill, who passed away last year. And my brother was really heck bent on getting his sauce recipe and making pizzas, and he tested and and finally we put a post on Facebook, and he said, we're going to offer this pizza late night only. That's when we run our ovens. People are, some people are a little miffed that we don't do it during the day. We're sorry about that.
But you do have the take and bake too.
We do have the take and bakes for during the day.
I mean, I know it's not quite the same as cooking out of a commercial oven, but it's still, I mean, the flavor really is fantastic. It really is. So now, how do you make the dough? Is that the same as your bread?
Yeah, the dough is the same as our bread. We make the pizza shells out of the bread dough, and we sauce it up, cheese it up, and put some toppings on there for you. The recipe came from my grandfather, like my sister said. My grandmother sent me some recipes just before he passed, and I was thumbing through them, and he had a pizza sauce recipe in there, but it didn't look complete. So I called my uncle up, and I asked him, hey, what's up with this pizza recipe? Because we've always made pizza and our own food in the kitchen, for break time and whatnot. So he gave me the rest of the recipe, and we put it together and played around with it for a couple weeks. And I said, well, let's do something crazy. Let's put it out there for the public and see what they think. And, I put a post up on the pizza night, and it blew up. I was really surprised and real thankful for the great responses we received.
Mm-hmm. Especially considering, I mean, for your hot pizza, you don't start selling it until, 9 o'clock at night? Is that?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Which a lot of people appreciate because there's only one other pizzeria that is open until 3 a.m. selling pizza for the late night crowd. And it's not just the bar crowd. It's the nurses. It's, it's the police staff. It's the the factory workers. It's the 24-hour, the overnight shift people that really appreciate it. So, we can't forget about them.
Oh, definitely.
And they really love the variety. So.
And is that who you find are the most people coming in there?
Emergency services, correctional officers,
911.
911 center.
Yep. Just anyone that's working
the steel mill. Anybody that works at night appreciates that there's something different out there.
Definitely, and it keeps you from having to, necessarily go downtown. And I think that you both have a niche place here. I've had your pizza. I thought it was fantastic.
Thank you.
Had one slice of it, and then that turned into probably 3/4 of the pizza by myself. Luckily, I just bought the small I say small round, but it was probably like eating a loaf of bread.
That's 8 slices.
It's one of those rare nights that I really just indulged in it, but there's something about it. There's a nice, if I remember correctly, a nice